Well, good morning from Darryl Kirky here in Perth, Western Australia. The time is 1:45 a.m, Wednesday, 10th of September 2025. Thank you for the supporters of the video today. Nearly 2,000 views. It was a very good debate and it was quite humbling. Thank you, especially to Michelle, a few others that come on my line. That always give me love and support. Smoko, a few others stand out in my mind anyway. So this is an open chat mainly for any spiritual faith in Christ. I'm not going to get into debates with atheists and bloody Muslims trying to convert me. But anyone from any other faith, I don't care. Well, I don't even care if it's Mormon. As long as they believe in the resurrection of Jesus Christ, I'll even give Mormons a go this time. One person online, welcome. I was just saying this is an open chat for anybody part of any spiritual faith in Christ, or at least those who are spiritual enough to respect the Christian perspective and not debate or argue. I just want to answer the comments. I want to get down to the root of the cause and purpose. Where did we come from? Why are we here? And where are we going? Plan of salvation. Some people who pass on, even John MacArthur, who I really did like this guy, but he's some things I don't agree with, just don't. They recorded his deathbed final moments, and he had no fear. Had no fear. He was absolutely convinced he's going to heaven. Good on him. You could say he was a righteous man. He was obedient, good father, faithful and everything. But he was a Calvinist. Whatever that stands for, you want to look that up. There are people who strive, you can say, to be righteous, and they still fear. And there's people who break certain laws, but nothing major, and they don't fear either. Two people online. So I was looking up Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash apparently was he was in the military. He was a drunk. Some will say he was faithful and everything. He was friends with Billy Graham. He was an earth sign. I think he was a Virgo. It doesn't matter. He was definitely an earth. He wasn't not an air. He wasn't an up and air. He was very down to earth man. You know Johnny Cash. And I'm the opposite. If I don't have a smoke and all that, I go country. But when I do have a smoke, I'm not interested in country music. I'm more interested in jazz, blues, classical, you name it, ballads. Very strange how I go country. And it's a completely different path. It's darker. It's not frills. I was brought up country, and it's in the blood, but I've never gone down that path for very long. And the more I'm free of any addiction, the more I want to go down that path. And yet that path is full of drunks and marriage, divorce, and everything. I don't know what it is. I cannot figure that one out. I'm not interested in country music, even though I was brought up in country, when I'm being all jazzy and snazzy and performing the way that I do. Not sure what God's trying to tell me, what I could have been at this age. Country music would go a long friggin' way for my age to tell a story of life. Because all the other types of music is sort of surreal. Country music does tell a story of a person's life. There's even Bobby Cash. He's an Indian version of Johnny Cash. Kamal's online, said hi Kamal, and hello again. Welcome. So Johnny Cash never really appealed to me. I met him when he came to the country town, Kalgoorlie, Western Australia, flew in his private jet. Everybody was crazy for Johnny Cash. Never really give it much thought in my life. Just a path I never took. I thought he was a loser, but he did better than me in a lot of ways. He could really come to the Lord, and he was friends with Billy Graham. The thing about country music, it's not about frills. They all seem to keep their feet on the ground, perhaps their head above the clouds in some way. Tells a story of life, marriage, or divorce, or it's real family values that it's not cheap like a lot of the modern day music today, which is all about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It's nothing like that as far as I'm concerned. It's just about people that are just so earthly and so real, telling the story. It gives me a little bit of a guilt complex because I know that country's in my blood, but I've never gone down that path. So what I'm trying to say is I never really give it a chance. And I didn't even care about it. But the memory come up today, and my father loved country music. That's the only music he loved. Not American country, he loved Australian country. I prefer American country. Gospel. And of course, Johnny Cash turned to gospel music. John Denver, country. Country roads, take me home, country music. So I'm on the opposite side of the fence. God is no respecter of persons, of course. There are people that are very, very spiritual, very religious, and they perform other types of music. It seems to be a higher level, but it also can lead to being stuck up, self-righteous, especially classical. There's a radio station here called the ABC. I love it. It's got hardly any adverts. You listen to it all night, then suddenly you wake up, it's all spooky music and ghostly music. They're going bloody wacko. Bloody woman singing like bloody dead bloody zombies and everything. And yet mostly it's classical. So they're in a world of their own. You know what I mean? It's not country. It's just really sort of strange type of I don't know. It's not earthly. It's that level of escape. And these people are very decent. They're very ethical. They're family people and everything. So music does speak a language, and it describes you who you are. And if I say that I was a complete drug-free person, like when I say drug, I'm talking smoking coffee or something like that, I just get attracted to country music. I have no friggin' idea, because most people that are attracted to it are drunks and all about marriage and divorce. I have no idea. I haven't figured it out, because I married into that. See, I married into that, and I didn't go down that path. I could have been famous. I could have been a really good country singer. I probably can sing country music and write and compose. Could have done that. But when you go down the other path, Taylor Swift and all of that type of music, it's like crazy. It's like, what is that? It's just, it seems artificial. And Whitney Houston, what did she overdose or killed herself or something? Overdosed? I can't remember what happened to her. Kevin Costner in that movie, The Bodyguard. In real life, he was friends with Whitney Houston. He really cared for her. He was a decent man, a Christian man, a married man, happily married and everything. So where did Whitney Houston end up? 6 foot under. See, happiness that comes to an end was never really happiness. Baba Loves Online. Hello, mate. Welcome to my channel, mate. But real life. We're talking real life now. You've got a story to tell. Or you can escape it all and tell a bullshit story of something that's not of this world. Perhaps you think it's a high level. You think you've reached some type of divinity, some plane of expression. But country music people that I've known are very, very real, very earthly and very real. And I was brought up by a father who was so friggin' earthly that he'd give you a good whack if you started thinking about space and look it up, you know. But then again, there's a parable of a guy. He looked up, always praying for money. He was poor. And one day, a voice spoke to him from the heavens and said, look down. He found money, big pile of money. He spent the rest of his life looking down, looking for more money. He never looked up again. He forgot about God. He's friggin' earthly, all right? He's looking down at the dirt, looking for more money. So I always thought the earthly thing is a distraction in my life. I always looked up and I got deceived by religion and white robe demons and everything. Always looking for an escape. And I found it and I discovered it. I was good at it. But it wasn't fake. I was still genuine. It's just, I'm telling a story that's, you can't, what's the word? You can't make it real because it's more metaphorical and different, you know. It doesn't tell a real life story it's just all make-believe. Even Frank Sinatra with all his love songs, he's romantic and great. A lot of it was quite earthly, but it was all romance, and he was a bloody womanizer, but he was a great singer. Elvis is rock and roll, the king of rock. But Johnny Cash, I've just been studied Johnny Cash up and his life. He became a born-again Christian, and he friends with Billy Graham, and the man was not shiny and glossy. He was famous, but he had an alcohol addiction and everything, and all sorts of problems, but he overcome it. Before he died anyway, spent the last decade or so with his wife, loving his family, apparently. Correct me if I'm wrong. So he made it work. He didn't lose his family, to my knowledge. With a lot of movie stars and people like that, they lose their family. It breaks them. Just one moment, please. Do something. Okay. Just sitting up this early hours of the morning. It's a bit cold. So I'm just having a reflection of all this type of religion and spirituality. Spirituality is a better choice, but there are just people that they never get above themselves. They always keep their feet on the ground, and they're Christian. And there's nothing supernatural about it, really. It's just they go home to heaven. And if they get famous, it's the type of music that tells the story of real life. Real life. So we may find out one day that we've been living a superficial dream. See, Taylor Swift is one of the most richest, I think the most richest singer on earth. She's a billionaire. And her music, what is it? You tell me. Thank you. Another person come online speaking a different language. Welcome. The question comes to mind so many times over and over and over. What is holiness? I would put it in a different perspective. I would say, what is faithfulness? Meaning, God gives you a marriage, a family, a lifestyle by which you work, whatever you do for a career or use your talents. You're married into it, and yet you go completely opposite because you're brought up with a certain lifestyle, and then when you can't wait to grow up and go against it. I would have gone down that path if my father had showed emotional connection. He did cry once when he was drunk, and he said, "I love you, kids." If I had heard him express emotion, being such a country western type of musical guy he was, he hated any other type of music, kicked me out practically for playing other types of music. I had to go and live with grandmother. I probably would have gone down that path. I just can't understand how there's so many people that seem, I don't know. Well, my father was without emotion, but Johnny Cash was probably filled with emotion for the type of music he played. You know, he wrote the songs like "It Burns, Burns, Burns," "Ring of Fire," you know, real cowboy country type of music, you know. You know, he wrote the song "A Boy Named Sue" and all this sort of thing. It was interesting, but didn't fascinate me. But I'm not into Taylor Swift. That's too extreme. I was a world-class performer from cabaret, jazz, classical. I lived it. I lived my life associated with the rich and famous and so forth. But life changes as you get older. You start to put your feet on the ground a bit, and you start to see through the bullshit of it. It's all make-believe. But some of these people that I know that play the classical and all that are very spiritual. Some are very religious. And they think they've got a connection with God. So did not Johnny Cash have a connection with God? And all he did was play country music. Was a drunkard. Then I think he stayed married and faithful, and he got in with Billy Graham and friends and everything, and he got converted, and he went home to God. You know, the kind of person that never really had charisma in any way, I don't think. How can I say it? Like we had a prime minister here. His name was John Howard. He never had charisma. Light didn't shine out of his ass, but he was a bloody smart cookie. I can tell you. My dad loved him as the best prime minister. And they wonder how he got voted in. And he stayed into the very end of the terms, all the terms, and he ended up retired, big pension, and he was probably the richest of all the prime ministers, and he had no charisma. So there are people that don't shine, but they make it because they chose a path which suits them, where they don't seek that type of glory, I guess, Because being an entertainer, see, no matter what, it's ego-based in some way. I think all musicians kind of operate on ego. See, I'm talking about music, and this is an open chat for people who are spiritual. The God of Arizona, people have troubled hearts with no patience. Yeah, right. If you had to change your life or change your path, your lifestyle, and get on a path which is very strange to you, it'd be lonely. You spent your whole life climbing up a different tree, or a mountain. It's different. I'm having trouble keep my cigarette light. All right, I'll have to away the secret. I had a call tonight for somebody who's really into country music, telling me I could have been a really famous country singer. I've got the voice and everything for that type of music. Saying if I'd gone down this path, you would have had millions of people loving and supporting you. I didn't go down that path. My feet were not really on the ground. My feet were up there in the clouds. You're supposed to have your feet on the ground, even as a Christian, and your head above the clouds, and believe. And, the heavenly mansion's being prepared for you, but take your crown off and lay it down by the Saviour's feet. Sure, don't get all puffed up and proud, for sure. So I make choices that bring me down to earth, but as I come down to earth, I don't choose that sort of music. And yet, from a zealous point of view, I don't have a smoke. I don't have any drug in my body because I only have legal drug. I don't have anything else. I have no interest in country music, except maybe the closest would be John Denver and anything to do with like gospel stuff and Rocky Mountains and all that in America, the old frontier America. That's gone now. So I probably would have gone like John Denver. So these are what ifs. If you had your life over again, what would you choose? What sort of music would you listen to or choose? What sort of person would you marry? Excuse me. It almost baffles me to think we just don't have enough life. One life is not enough to get it right. Just not enough, not long enough. At this age, I can't go out there and do that sort of music again and get famous. The only type of music that would I be respected for at this age, with the wisdoms that I do know, would be country music, because it would reflect the life. I grew up in the desert and cowboy land and gold miners, and grandfather was a jackaroo, cattle station owner, ranch and everything. I mean, that's the type of music I should have chosen, but it wasn't in my blood. Yeah, well, I was born into it, but I rebelled. I just rebelled because I saw a lot of marriages and divorces. A lot of them were godless. But Johnny Cash was a legend, and he really became a real full-on Christian, and really and had very good friendship with Billy Graham. How lucky was that? I don't have a friendship like that with a personally a famous pastor or somebody that's a real evangelist Christian, that they don't throw people out of the church or anything. They just welcome everybody, man, even drunks and everything. But I do like Billy Graham. I go to a Billy Graham church. So I think it must be the accident. I seem to prefer the choirs in heaven than all that sort of stuff. And there's other people that would resonate with me because of it. But as far as the connection to my family and the way I was brought up, I'd have a lot of friends if I was playing that sort of music in this type of land. The country that I come from, Australia, but I mean the town and the travel around Australia to all the country towns, and even the natives would jump in. They love country music. I'd have an audience, but I'm not going to do it. I'm just saying it's not my cup of tea, but it would have been a lot easier. But I chose a very complex path, by which I was sort of almost famous at one stage. I look back now, and there's not one person practically left that I know personally that I can actually communicate with. They just move on. It's not a story that that supports you in your old age. They just move on. It's like, what do you call it? A one-hit wonder, or no, what would you call it? Fleeting. That's the word. It's fleeting. Just like life and marriage and sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It's all fleeting. It's a kind of a bullshit story, but you're caught up in the moment of it. But a person like Johnny Cash was country from the day he was born to the day he died. He never changed. He never switched. He sort of stuck on that level. And he was well admired and a famous country singer. One of the legends of history. The God Arizona's online. He says, yes. He says, got into a lot of bad shit right before lost everything. I just read the other comment by God of Arizona. I love Arizona, by the way. I live there in Vegas. I was supposed to be in the Olympics 2 years ago for a bunch of gold medals for swim. Wow. See, now we're talking. I'm glad we've engaged in conversation here. What ifs and why? Why? It's like you come second in a race. I had a guy at school. He always beat me in a race. This guy, I wish he was dead almost. I'd come second in every race, and he'd always get the medal. Just what? He only beat me by a couple of steps. He could just beat me to the finishing line. And I said, if this guy didn't exist, he was popular with the girls and everything. And if he didn't exist and he wasn't at that school, I would be the champ. I ended up becoming a dirt bike champion because I ended up going over a cliff in the end. And all sorts of things happened to me. I was a daredevil like Evel Knievel. I could jump through fire hoops and everything. My brother tried the same trick and he missed, and he nearly killed himself. And he was hated me for that because I could do it and he couldn't. I was a bit of a stuntman. Things like that. But I couldn't beat this guy in just a simple race, or I couldn't kick a ball around because I had a broken back. Couldn't kick. I'd rather soccer. Rugby, that's friggin' hard too. You're running and falling and crawling and with the ball and people jumping all over you. It's not my type of sport. Tennis is nice, but it's very expensive. Volleyball, that's fun. I enjoyed that, especially beach volleyball. There's water polo. There's all different types of sports. There's bowling, pin bowling, and then my dad was a champion lawnmower, a lawnmower, bowler. He was offered carnivals and going overseas and Hong Kong and everywhere. He was a champ, So what are we talking about this for? So somebody called me tonight, somebody I've known for decades, and a country person, and just racked my brains and just told me, Darryl, why didn't you choose that path? Today you would have half of Australia on your side. Forget about Taylor Swift and all that crap. I'm not into Taylor Swift, but I'm just saying all that stuff is just a fleeting moment. I think it's because my father was an emotional abuser, and he was a countryman. I just associated, country people, they're bloody drunks and everything. I'm not a drinker. But when I heard the story of Johnny Cash, and this person told me tonight all about Johnny Cash's life, and then there's Bobby Cash in India. He was a copy of Johnny Cash, and he was very famous among the Indian people. So this sort of music is just really down to earth, you know? But if they're faithful to their wives and they're playing that sort of music and they're Christian, they're going home. So what's the point? What does it profit a man or woman to gain the whole world and lose their soul? What's the point of getting all famous and everything and get taken away? There are music that will take you away from Christ. Why is it that a lot of country people, especially American country, become gospel? Even Elvis did come gospel. On one of his presentations says, "Don't call me King of Kings, Jesus is King of Kings." See, even Elvis was religious. I think he'll be in heaven too. Despite if he did cheat on his wife or not. His wife cheated more than him, apparently. I don't know. I don't want to be the judge. Elvis has left the building. It'd be like hell. God has left the building, or Jesus. I'm trying to get to a point here. Obviously trying to express something here. Badger Man's online. Could you eat a full tin of beans cold? Yes, I can. No problem at all. In the desert, can of baked beans, you name it. Not a problem for me. Not a problem. I come from the bush, which is the desert dwelling place. The God of Arizona, we love Jesus Christ. Amen. And Badger Man says Taylor Swift is Harem brother Darren. Harem brother Darren. And the truth, yes. So the moment I was going down the path of the country, because all the memory come up as a kid, because that's all I got was country music. I pissed off and I went and lived with my grandmother. I did all the blues and the jazz and the bikies around. My grandmother was a bikies mum. I couldn't give a stuff about all that. Like old Slim Dusty, he was quite famous. Songs like, "I want to have a beer with Duncan because Duncan's my mate." And he'd go through all the names of his mates. That's all it was. He got famous. The song got famous. "I want to have a beer with whoever." Simple music, but boring to me, but real. If I had a choice between Johnny Cash and Taylor Swift, I would choose Johnny Cash. No doubt about it. He went through lonely patches. He said the biography, he was so lonely and lost and everything. And he kept on writing those earthly country songs. So I'm using him as an example, how some people keep their feet on the ground all their life. They're just so earthly. And I used to get whacked up because I was into astronomy and space and aliens and things that I experienced and saw in the desert with my grandfather. And my grandfather couldn't give a rat's ass. He'd see a thing flying around at the speed of light on the space, he'd just laugh. He's too busy. He was rabbit trapping and gold prospecting, and he lived out in a tin shed, a little gold mine thing he had, and he didn't give a shit about the alien. He didn't give a shit what's going up there. But I did. I was a kid and I had a motorbike and a dog, and I used to look up and the open sky of Australia, mate, I tell you, in the desert. I got interested in all that space and everything, metaphysics and everything. Still am. And yet, strangely enough, it just sounds so weird. I don't know why, but if I don't have a smoke and I go 3 days without a smoke, I'm getting attracted to country music and I want to come down to earth. I don't give a shit about space. It's really strange because when I slow down by having a smoke and everything, I can actually reflect and talk about these things, all that stuff and all that supernatural experience in my life. And I don't get thrown out of churches so easily because just got my wits about me, I'm sane. But when you go on about space, my dad said, what are you going to talk about that for? Can't you talk about something normal? What are you going to talk about astronomy for, astrology or whatever, supernatural? I was a crazy kid. I wanted to know the truth. That set you free. My dad didn't give a shit about all that. All he cared about was having a beer with Duncan, because Duncan's my mate, and sit around every week, never smoke or drink during the week. On the weekends, go for it. And he was a happy drunk. And I grew up with that. It was stable. He was a great provider, honest. And he just said there's too many dishonest people in the music business. But he, let alone frigging gay and everything, he was against everything. He said, what's the point of it? All overeducated half-wits and university orgies and things going on. Mozart himself was caught up in orgies. I've been to these elite clubs, Illuminati and famous people, movie stars and everything. It's not country. It's friggin' up there with Taylor Swift and everything. It's really up there with Madonna and, is it Madonna? And all this orgy stuff, which I never participated in, but I watched it. I was a friggin' watcher. Talk about fallen angels. I was watching, but I never participated. I got called back there, offered a lot of money to perform because I know a billionaire, a Knight Templar. I won't go back because I'm not going to be spiked or get sniff cocaine or do all that shit. It's Sodom, man. You don't go back to Sodom. But I experienced it all. There was no country music there. It was surreal. It wasn't real. It was beastie mask and people all stoned off their friggin' heads. So when you compare it, Johnny Cash was a normal human being, a drunk, but apparently he was very family man, had kids and everything. And he turned to gospel music in the end. So did Elvis. So it makes me look like I've been around, but places where angels would not even tread. Places that Johnny Cash would never tread. And yet they thought he was a loser and a drunk. So it makes me feel wicked that I even participated, or not participated, but I involved performing in these clubs where this shit was going on. So it's complete insanity when I look back. I think, how did I do that? Why was I attracted to playing in those sort of clubs? When I could have been doing country music and been normal. Because I didn't drink. See, I wasn't a drinker. Alcohol wasn't my friend. I can't even preach when I drink alcohol. And as soon as I have a smoke, I either go one extreme or the other. Either go classical or go jazz. Classical or jazz or blues. I'm just not into country. There's people out there would tell me what they're into. Blues, jazz, rock and roll. What type of music are you into? We're talking about music. Maybe I should title this a chat on music and lifestyle and how it led you to Jesus or whatever. The Masons, 33. Yeah, exactly. A horrible bunch. Exactly. I was a 33-degree Mason Mormon. And when I went to prison for innocently framed, the Illuminati got me out. Secret handshake. See, I was high up in the rank of the LDS Masonry thing, and they got me out. The cops and the judge was just baffled. I was innocently framed. They're going to lock me up for 3 months. That's just how it is. They throw the book at you over there. You get arrested for doing a piss on the side of the road in America. Treat you like a criminal too. You broke the law. You'll be treated like a freaking criminal, handcuffed and everything, shoved down. So yeah, the Masons. I know that the Mormon Church, in its they say one represents sacred handshakes, the good versus the bad, the evil. Because the sacred handshakes reflect Adam and Eve sealing up covenant. Satan copied all that. It's priesthood, and then copied it and put it into Freemasons, and the prophets got killed for stealing it back, put it in the Adamic covenant. And the secret society went on to this day, and they're friends. That's the thing, they meet up. It's photographs all over the world. They just meet up and do the handshake. And so so the Illuminati got me out of prison, and I knew the handshake. It was like, because of that, I was protected. Protected by what? Lord Luciferian. See, there are just musicians that never got sort of famous in that way. They had to become part of allegiance. They just keep their feet on the ground. They didn't go up the ranks like that, but they're still famous, but not famous enough to be trapped into the Freemasonry movement. Because a lot of rich movie stars and that are all part of the allegiance. Otherwise, they'd be removed, harmed, everything. To stay famous, you got to be part of it. Real famous that way. Taylor Swift is a billionaire. She's probably one of them. Madonna is one of them. Right down to the common rock star who make the sign of the goat on the stage. Anything Illuminati symbolism of the goat, Lord Lucifer, to stay in power. Salon Delon did it. Ed Sheeran does it. If you don't do it, you'll be removed. It's symbolism, representing the ones that pull the string. Even religion is controlled as they're puppets to the Illuminati. They got more power. They drink babies' blood. They commit murders of little children, everything, disappear, kidnap. And these movie stars are drinking the blood. Not all of them, but... So Johnny Cash had nothing to do with that. He was a good man, though he was a drunk. See how Jesus came for the sinners like that? But those way up in the high-level club, they're rich, they're famous, they've got money, they don't help the poor, they're just drinking babies' blood, and they're just... Man, you and I are not doing that. There's not one person that come on my channel, I would say, that would do that. I did have my channel shut down once. A spy organization come on my channel. They were called ISIS Cemetery. I don't know what. I looked it up. Some spy organization that checked you that you don't preach too much about what they believe. They control religions. Religions are all under the allegiance. Catholicism, Mormonism, they're all under the allegiance. The Mormon prophet was part of allegiance when he was only in college, skull and bones. Yet he's a Mormon prophet. People don't like to hear this, but that probably paid for his education. He became one of the greatest heart surgeons in history. See, Johnny Cash avoided all of that shit. So they all seem to get rich and famous, and billionaires and politicians and, presidents of the United States, they all get caught up in it. So that's why Jesus came for the sinners, the prostitutes, the drunks, everybody, rather than the elite stuck up that do all this shit. And of course the elite and the Pharisees or the self-righteous killed Jesus. Their obedience was shit. Johnny Cash, I wouldn't say was very obedient, but he got saved by grace, and he was just simply a grace Christian gospel singing country guy that had an alcoholic problem. That was it. And he had a very slow speaking voice, you know, it burns, 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 ring of fire. Mum loved it. She used to be crying and everything. I said, what are you crying over Johnny Cash for? They all love country music. Anyway, one moment, please. Coffee. Okay. Yeah. So this person that I've known half my life, really into country music, took me down that road, and I actually started to get the shakes. I sort of felt like I missed out on something. It's like telling me that I went down a different path, which was all bullshit. I don't think it was bullshit. I just think if I had chosen a different type of music, I would be still performing today as a living. Because at this age, I'm not going to be playing all that other shit. I'm going to, you know, at my age, I'd be more respected playing country music than any other type of music. Or I could do jazz and all that, to a bit of that, but that's not the same. Australia is a country, a great country. And a lot of people in this country love country music. There you go. Old frontier America was very country too. Ah, Michelle's online. My favourite subscriber. I like the blue shirt on you. Very nice. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Look a bit rugged, rough. Rubbish Spam is online. South African. Welcome. I have a great respect for African people who are especially Christian, because they're really powerful testimonies they have. They've been through hell and poverty. And Pastor Papa John's one of my favourites from Cape Town, South Africa, the black guy who rules in the spirit, practicing the Melchizedek of Enoch's time, the priesthood power of it thereof. There's no other church in the world that's operating from the Enoch's preaching, because Enoch got taken up, didn't he, the whole city. What I'm trying to get at is there are just some people out there in Africa that are just doing miracles, miracle churches, faith. Though I don't know about all the angels that were captured on videos. I've seen it a bit like a rock concert, but they're all about Jesus. And then the video gets produced, made public, and it's like angels flying around. You can't see them, their faces. But they're all there, but nobody can see them at the time. It comes out on camera, picks up on caught on camera. It doesn't happen here. Well, actually, all right, not angels. Poor old Bishop Murray had his eye stabbed out by a Muslim. He protected it with a cross that saved him. They took a video of the people coming through the door that night when Bishop Murray spoke, and it showed a demon crawling up the wall as a shadow. So they caught that on camera. He was going to be stabbed that night. He's supposed to be dead. He's like a born-again Catholic. He's a great guy. He's retired now. But he stuffed up when he said something really stupid, which probably no big deal to me, but to a lot of people. He said, I wouldn't mind being Joseph with Mary and change the pooey nappies of Jesus. And that really upset the people. How dare he talk to Jesus as an infant baby, changing his pooey nappies? It really got him a bad name. But he was a great preacher. He was a really nice guy. But he wore the gown and everything, He got kicked out of the Syrian church. His mate, Sam Shamoun, some type of born-again Christian thug for the Lord, very powerful, very strong. We're friends with him. You don't mess with Sam Shamoun. He's a warrior. He had me on his channel, didn't kick me off. He kicked 2 people off before and after. He wants to know all about the Mormon church, but he keeps telling people to run back to Rome. The Catholic Church is the true church, but you need to be born-again Christian Catholic. Be a born-again Christian anyone. Be a born-again Christian bloody Protestant. Be a born-again Christian Mormon. Be a born-again Christian friggin' Buddhist, if you want. But don't, yeah, whatever. Excuse me for a moment. Yeah, so sometimes when the memory comes up of a path you didn't go down, but you could have been famous, you could have pleased your mama and papa. It's that, they want me to do country music and everything. I was shaking and trembling like I felt like I was going down a dark place. I saw a lot more light with classical and all that other stuff. I just don't know why, to some degree, why I shake and tremble. I think it's the drunkenness because I hate alcohol. My father, even though he was a happy drunk, I just think all those supernatural things that happened to me was a different path. And I just went down a path where it just opened the door for anything like that. I just didn't go down the other path where everything was closed. There's a lot of atheists who are country and western and all this. I don't know. It's like you don't want to be of the world. Jesus was not of this world. But then again, just because you're a musician playing really like opera or something like that, it doesn't mean you're not of the world. You can still be of the world and come home and get pissed and sing opera. So it seems to be a higher level, but it could be stuck up and self-righteous level too. So just, you see, my father would never let you get you up yourself, never let you get up yourself. You couldn't even shine a light, he'd attack it. And I don't like it when people attack light. I don't care what religion they are. They've got light, love, and truth. You don't attack them. My father would attack love, light, and truth. He couldn't stand the way my grandmother would glow. She'd glow in the dark. That's how grandmother was. Oh, she can't glow. She's not an engineer. She's not educated. She just rides horses, and which was a legend, mind you. How many people can ride horses and round up the cattle? She shined light. She always wanted to be a teacher and all that, I suppose. Never got the chance. But she had light, and I recognised she was the love of my life. I mean, I went and lived with grandmother when I got kicked out of home. Not my mum, my dad kicked me out, basically, because he hated any other type of music. So I just looked at my grandmother and said, she's got the truth. My dad doesn't. Stuff his country music and everything in his friggin' beer. Still, let's go on. I'm missing comments all over the place tonight because it's early hours morning. I'm having another late night, but I'm chilling out here still. I can agree there's perhaps you have a different question he could answer for you. Jim Burton, older than who, and age does not equal wisdom. Unless you live 1,000 years. Well, fact is that fire will burn. Wisdom is the remembrance of the blister. So when it comes to pain and suffering, there is wisdom in that. You tell a kid not to touch a hot flame, he's going to touch it. You've got to know what it's like to be burnt. There's wisdoms in that sort of thing. There's practical wisdoms. Yeah, you're right. And of course, enlightenment doesn't necessarily lead to wisdom because the guru caste system of India, looking down on the beggar on the street and saying, I'm enlightened and you're just a piece of dirt. But wisdoms can lead to enlightenment in Christ. So you can go the Christian way there and see it that way. But you're right. You're right. I'm on a different level tonight. It's almost like another me. I haven't been in touch with this sort of person for a long time. I'm not quite comfortable with it, to be honest. It's almost atheist. It's not the real me. It's just, I'm shaking. See, all the memories come up of my father and the abuse, emotional abuse, not so much physical abuse. So he whacked me off the chair a few times. And this friend of mine, I've known half my life was just still on the same level as was when I was a kid. Telling me that all the riches and fame of the world mean nothing like that. Well, I wasn't seeking fame. I never was. I was always looking for the Lord. I just happened to have a journey of music, and I never slept with one woman during my entire career. So I didn't do too bad. But where are they? Who can I, at this age, who can I turn to? I can't make a phone call. Maybe I've got a gospel singer, yes, Jackie Love. She's a friend of mine, comes on Facebook. She's very famous. You don't know Jackie Love, but anyone who does. I've got a couple famous people that do contact me, but they're older than me and they're retired. But country people, if you've got country music in your blood and you play that sort of thing, you've got thousands of people that will be knocking on your door, can't wait to have a chat with you. You know, and the truckies, they love a bit of country music, country trucking music. And I've driven trucks and everything, and they were all into country music, and I'm listening to some other type of music when I was driving the trucks. So I didn't really fit in that well, you know. Plus I was religious. Anyway, I don't know where this is going, but it's just a reflection because I haven't really thought about this for a long time. Just brings up a lot of memories because I come from the bush, the desert, and everybody was into this sort of stuff, and I wasn't, but I grew up with it. Anyway, you keep the conversation going here a bit. Yeah, when somebody rings you out of the blue and talks about the sort of thing and tells you that all that other stuff was bullshit, can be offensive. Making you, because they were never there, they never saw me perform in front of thousands of people and everything. So, is Taylor Swift happy? Well, she's got how much? A couple $1 billion. I mean, she must be happy, but has she come to the Lord? I don't think so. It's surreal. The whole modern day perception is just surreal. It's almost make-believe. Walt Disney, who created Disneyland Empire for Children, was drinking baby's blood. He was up there with the black occult with Ron Hubbard from Scientology. So just because he created a beautiful fantasy empire for children and a Hollywood Jesus, you can say, hanging about in the Cinderella's castle. These people didn't have wisdom at all. They had imagination or invention. I saw a movie once. This Russian guy had been captured and they're flying on a plane to take him somewhere to lock him up. And the plane crashed. And they thought he was an engineer and he put the plane back together. And I says, how the hell did you do that? Because he crashed in the desert, saved all their lives. He was a model aeroplane maker, a toy model aeroplane maker. And he put the wings on and everything. Somebody engineered and put the plane back together. It was nothing more than a fantasy. Somehow he done some type of engineering construction. It wasn't super glue. It was how they stuck the plane back together, broken wing and everything. Oh, God. So there are just people that are just filled with imagination. Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory, that was sort of a fiction story, but Willy Wonka, full of imagination. The world of imagination. The first Willy Wonka, Gene Wilder, great movie that was. The kid didn't get greedy like the others, and the everlasting chewing gum, you can chew it forever and never lose the flavor. And he took it out of his mouth, he gave it back to Willy Wonka, because Willy Wonka says, you're all just spoilt little brats, because one guy fell into the chocolate factory and got swallowed up in a tube. And it's a great movie. And of course Johnny Depp did a good job as well. So he thought, oh, well, he's accusing me of being a little greedy brat. He took the chewing gum out of his mouth, everlasting chewing gum, put it on his desk, and Willy Wonka turned around and said, "Oh, you've won, you've won!" And he gave the whole chocolate factory to this little kid because he wasn't greedy. So a lot of famous people are very greedy. They're not prepared to surrender anything. They want to keep their empire, and that's all they get in this life. Anyway, I hope I've somehow explained the message here that makes some sense. Can we engage in conversation you never thought you have? Help yourself grow. Yeah. Michelle says, Jim, he older and know more old-fashioned things and way of thinking. I think he is very interesting to listen to. Do I believe it all? No, but it's another perspective I can respect. That's a good answer. Jim Burton, come on, man. It's 2025. Can't we get over those old superstitions already? Michelle says, rubbish spam. He is from Perth, Australia. Yeah. Michelle knows me. I like the blue shirt on. Very nice. Thank you. And rubbish spam is from South Africa. And the God of Arizona, thank you for coming along as well. All right. Oh, versatile curlies online. What was it like in the 80s? Oh, the 80s. 70s and 80s. 60s, 70s and 80s. It all changed after that finished. It just got greedy and sick and dark. I don't know. Everybody seemed to have a lot of energy, jumping and, oh man, 60s, the 70s and the 80s. Probably the 70s was my favorite. No one had AIDS. It was just all free love and this. And I used to drive my mates around. They all get drunk and pissed and cocaine, whatever. I didn't touch it, but I could either on the beach, a big freaking orgy, or in the back of the bloody wagon, all having it off, and I never did. I stayed a virgin till I was 24. I was watching it all. I was a watcher. But they died of AIDS. A lot of them died of AIDS. Everything went wrong for them. Short-lived. I'm only one of the last survivors. Plus, we're fast and furious and fast cars and things. But the music was great. It was electric. It was, I don't know, because when the Beatles were around in the 60s, the whole frigging world practically fell in love with the Beatles. It was just global. And John Lennon got up and said, we're more popular than Jesus. Well, guess what? He was. For a moment there, the whole frigging world was in love with the Beatles. But he boasted. Next thing, he was assassinated. Not for that, but got to be careful. Just testing you. What do you call it? Just don't be a smart ass. Nobody's greater than Jesus. Anyway, this is a bit of a, what can I call it? This is a bit of a free speech video, and I'm not doing a very good job at it because I'm thinking about a lot of friends that have passed on, the way I was brought up. They're all dead and gone. A couple of them left, and it's a path that I just got away from. And I look back now and I think I had a good life, really, in the desert. Really earthly people, mainly atheists, but very family-orientated people, people that would protect their family to the kill. Just a really good life. Had a motorbike when I was 10 for the dog and go out in the bush. Dirt roads, you could just go up the lane, cross over the paddock, and hit the dirt road way out to the mining towns, ghost towns. No cops would bother with you. Just crossing the road with a motorbike, and boom, you're there. These days, cops will pick you up for that. I was just into motorbikes, dirt bikes. Became a champ, West Australian junior champion motorbike rider until I went over a cliff. All right, so maybe I've made this video for my own benefit because I just want to see how I feel trying to preach something after having a couple-hour conversation with an old friend of mine who's never changed from the time from a kid. Same person, same level, and basically not disrespecting me really, but just saying all this other type of music means nothing. It doesn't really tell a story of real life. It's not really wisdoms at all. It's just barking up a tree. But then see Johnny Cash, he got saved. He gave up the alcohol, but he never got up himself, and he was a family man. He never got approached by Illuminati. He never become part of a Freemasonry's secret handshake club, and nothing. They weren't interested in him. The sun didn't shine out of his ass, but even then, the Illuminati are very dark. It's a principality of darkness, and they suck the light, the virtue out of people, famous, glossy, shiny movie stars and people, high-ranking positions, and suck the life out of them, get them to drink baby's blood and become Luciferian. So I witnessed it, but I never was part of it. Yeah, so what does it all mean? What does it all mean, Alfie? That's a song. What does it all mean, Alfie? Michelle says, yep, I read that comment. I can agree, but yep, a question. Sorry, my eyes are blurry. What other traditions and superstitions are you wanting to discuss, says Michelle. Jim Burton says, I've heard it's bad luck to put shoes on the table. I think that's a load of nonsense. I bet anything that one was invented by a mother who didn't want muddy shoes on their clean tables. Yeah. My father, who was a complete atheist, not superstitious, yet he had a thing about umbrellas. And I said, I'll prove it to you, Dad. I opened up this umbrella in the house and the thing come off. It's come off its hatches and it sliced my finger almost in half, my thumb. Just coincidence. He went out to get me out in the bush when I was associating with the Aboriginals, which are natives. They weren't the drinking ones. They didn't drink, but they eat a big goanna like a lizard and cook it up and do witch doctor stuff and everything. And my father was very racist at the time, and he come to grab me and he said, get out of that camp, because it was right in the desert. And they point a bone which is superstitious. If the witch doctor points a bone, the Aboriginal just drops dead, has a heart attack. It's just superstition. And my dad said, if you don't believe it, it can't affect you. And he grabbed me and they went to spear my father. They liked me as a kid. They didn't like my father. They come charging at him. And when I was a kid, I had a lot of psychokinetic stuff going on. My teddy bear's head ripped off and terrible things going on. And my dad would come to the room and everything would stop, like they were scared of him. They weren't scared of him. He blocked it because he wasn't superstitious like that. And he turned the lights off at 8 o'clock to save electricity. Can you believe that? And we'd suffer in the dark. We're not allowed to have a night light. Things like that. Today it'd be discrimination. The kid wants to have a night light. Bloody demons have come out. Or if it wasn't demons, it was certainly something angry in my head that was producing it. Definitely the teddy bear's head was ripped off and things just thrown around the room. Maybe I was doing it. It doesn't matter. Mind over matter or not. It was still supernatural. My father could not accept it. He just said, you ripped your teddy bear's head off. Get whacked up for that. By the morning, everything was thrown around the room. My mum believed me, thank goodness. Somebody believed me. Go on. I'm really battling tonight. But a great video today. Thank you for your support, especially you, Michelle. But sometimes I burn candles at both ends and I don't get enough sleep. But I had to make this video because to put into perspective of what my friend was trying to get through to me. And it's still not making enough sense to me. Because all the memories of the racist childhood that was brought up, I just don't want to go there. If country music's all about drunkenness and divorce and racism, and it's not for me. But yeah, Johnny Cash, he was a legend. And And if anyone is into Billy Graham, I'm into that. So if he could be friends with Billy Graham personally, he would have really had a powerful transformation, because Billy Graham was a great preacher. Oh, he did preach a lot about hell. So did Jesus. All right. All right, got that off my chest. Yeah. I'd hate to get to the judgment bar and say, my son, I gave you a country wife, I gave you a country father, and etc., and you chose to go the other way. I don't think it has anything to do with salvation. You're always worried about not enough money, couldn't buy your wife a house and all this sort of thing. But if you gone the other way, you would have been rich and famous as a country singer, and Australia would have been right behind you, supporting you. But you chose the other way and you didn't get rich out of it. I made a lot of money, but not enough. Not enough to even buy a house, except in the Philippines for $50,000. You get a house there worth $500,000 here. It's about it. Well, even then, I was a professional gambler, so I won a bit. Won and lost. God's not going to ask those questions. It really doesn't matter. Every lifetime you come back and do something different. I'm just saying that as an example. It's like you got to make a choice. What are you going to choose? What sort of music you listen to? What sort of wife you're going to marry, or husband? It's all choices. Remember that movie Sliding Doors? The woman missed the train, and the next train she got on, she was with his buddy Matt, kind of a psychopath guy, ended up becoming boyfriend, girlfriend. And then it shows the other half of the movie where she does get on the train and she meets somebody who's a really nice person and has a better life. She missed the train by 1 second. The doors closed, and it showed this movie what would happen if she went this way or that way. And God just sits back and allows these things to happen, or does he interfere? Was it meant for me to be married into the country type of lifestyle and then turn my back on it and go the other way? Because I'd rather jazz, blues, and rock and roll, or classical, whatever it was. And all my family said, he's doing every kind of music than what we like. He's chosen the other way. So I was never popular among the family because I chose the other type of music. All they wanted was country and western. The whole family, my brother even, all into it. Rodeos and all this sort of thing. So I took the other door. And I had a great life, but I kind of would, if I really want to think about it, I miss my family. I miss the connection that I had when I was a kid growing up on a motorbike, even though I was still thinking about it. I was just growing up around all these people that were into country music and lifestyle, and they were friends and everything, atheists mainly, but I broke away from it. Even the bikies were in the blues, anything but country. Unless you can call it country blues, maybe I can deal with that. Anyway, it's just a perception of what ifs could have been. No regret. It's just a bit sad because the friend that knew me for a long time, since I was very young, was sad for me, like I'd missed the boat or something. Don't pity me. I had a great life. It's just people that are very close to you, that you grew up with, say that whatever you chose is not in the good books with me, with that person. But that person never come to one concert, not one performance. And I was playing all over the world. So no one gives a shit, a rat's ass, because it wasn't that type of music that they liked. So I basically lost all my family. Not because of that. Religion broke my family up, but I could have been associating. They go out to all these clubs, a part of the farmers association, everything. They all meet up, and this is how it is. Australia, mate. You got to give praise to the old farmer. You know, plant the seed, the crops grow. Without farmers, you wouldn't have your vegetables on the table. And the shortage, and they're not getting the support that they should. You know, a garbage truck collector, you got to have them. They're not a doctor, they're not a professor, they're not educated in a way, but someone's got to empty the garbage. Even Disneyland's got garbage underground, hydraulics, so no one sees it to keep them in fantasy land. These things come up at night, they pull all the bins down and empty it, and all hydraulics. Got to have garbage truck collectors. You got to pay respect to people from all walks of life. My uncle was a shipbuilder. It's not a shipbuilder, a ship. He used to hang on the edge of a ship on a sledge. What do you call it? Scaffolding, and weld the ships together. He built ships. Earn $1,000 a day hanging off the ships. Then they paint it, you know. Great. What a legend. And then I find out that he's died, and I never got invited to the funeral. Why not? Because the whole family was ashamed of him because he was a drunk. But he was at every birthday party that I had, pretty much up in my 20s anyway. 21st, he was the last to leave. He was the life of the party. Dad come out in the morning and says, "Oh no, Uncle Bertie's gone through the wall. He fell into the wall and smashed it." He was that drunk. But he used to laugh and joke. He was attracted to Buddhism. He was an atheist, but he had an attraction to Buddhism. I used to have spiritual talks with him even when he was drunk. But his family hated him. Plus, they're very Catholic, you know, and he was a drunkard one. And he didn't go to church. So good old Uncle Bert. Never even got invited to the funeral. Didn't even know that he had died. And he was my favourite uncle. Isn't that unfair? Anyway, let's move on a little bit. Knock on wood, don't walk under ladders, don't cross a black cat. I'll still knock on wood, but for my own reasons. This is interesting. Superstition. We're talking about all this crazy thing. But most of them are meh, but I still respect the tradition of why they cannot come about. Michelle says, "Hey, Daryl, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Everything will be okay and turn out as it should." Thank you, Michelle. You humble me. Jim Burton says, "At the end of the day, though, we should be able to say whether or not putting your shoes on the table." And Jim Burton says, "It's bad luck." Michelle says, "Okay, my friend, I must go, but I will check in on you again soon. Lots of love to you." Good morning or good night over there, or whatever the time is there. God bless you. Thank you. Michelle's left another comment. "I can agree with Jim. I say what goes in my life. Amen." And Sanja Tilmarie's online. Study tips. Study tips. Are you a college student? And did I miss a comment? Going back a bit. Wisdom comes through experience, says Jim, not the mere passage of time. Jim Burton. True. Jim Burton says, "I've heard a lot of bad luck." Yep, I've read that. What other traditions and superstitions are you wanting to discuss? I read that. Yep, I read that. Yep. All right, well, thank you. Thank you. Yep. All right. I hope I haven't missed any comments. It shows only one person online, so it's going to be a quiet one. Anyway, it's just for my benefit, this video, I think more so because so I can reflect on how I feel talking to a friend, a long lost friend of 40 years. Oh my goodness, long time. He's never witnessed anything in my life that I've done all over the world. Yeah, there are just people that die hard. They're die hard country and Western country people, and that's their lifestyle, and they won't go any other way. And being Australian, I should have gone that way maybe because I would have had a lot more friends. Australian people love country and country music. All right. But I didn't. I went the other way. Chicago Blues Club and everything, all over the world. With the African Americans and the jazz, Memphis, B.B. King, did it all. But they were all from that part of the world, America and all those places. And Australians are just not into it, not like that. So all those friends are gone. Mostly 99% disappeared. And all my Australian friends cannot relate much to the type of life I've had. It's just out of their reach. It's beyond their pay grade. Okay? But I did live. They just didn't witness it. Anyway, moving on. Thank you for listening. So I might retitle this video what we have discussed tonight. Thank you. God bless you all. I think I'll hit the hay. I'm really tired. You win some, you lose some. It's okay. But when Michelle comes online, it does uplift me. She's a lovely person. Thank you, everybody that's left a comment. Thank you for humbling me. Sometimes it's really good to stop and listen to others and listen to what they have to say, even their wisdoms. Everybody's got a story to tell, and I pray that we all get to have our say, express what's in our heart, and be able to help others. It's not how much you know so much, but how much you care, I would say. It's beyond the tree of knowledge. It's the tree of life, fruits of the Spirit. See the Christ in everybody. See the divinity. See the Spirit of that level where we're so busy loving, we don't have time to judge. That's a level. It's not spiritual ego. It's a level of deepness and wisdom and caring, Christian or not. Got to give credit where credit is due. And I say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Good morning. God bless. The time now is 3:08 a.m. and I'm going to get some shut eye. I'll catch you on the next video.